On today's 76ers now, going to take a look at some external free agents. 5 guys the Sixers could target in NBA free agency this offseason if they are not able to retain Guerschon Yabusele, meaning they could use one of those exceptions to sign another player. Before we get into those names, it is official. We will be going live for the 2025 NBA Draft Lottery on Monday, so be sure to join us. Myself and Chase Sr. will be returning to the channel as we'll both be live 30 minutes before the start of the broadcast, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific. We'll be able to react together to hopefully the Sixers landing that number 1 overall pick. But if they lose their pick as well, we'll be reacting to all of that. So be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you get notified when we do go live. Now let's get into these free agent targets, starting with one of my favorite free agents in this free agency class. That is Nickeil Alexander-Walker, the guard out of Minnesota, who the past couple of years for the Timberwolves, especially in the playoffs, has really been able to show his skill set as a player and his development from when he started his NBA career. Now, I know some of you are going to look at guard and say, no more guards on this team. We don't need any more, only big men. But look, Alexander Walker at 6'5", 205 with a 6'9" wingspan is able to play on that wing, and with his defensive skill set, he can guard 1s, 2s, 3s, and even some smaller 4s as well, and a guy that I think you could put on the floor with Maxey and Quentin Grimes at the same time. Now, this past year from Minnesota, around that 10-point per game mark, not going to do a whole lot else offensively. He can do some things with the ball in his hands, not a primary creator, but sort of a secondary ball handler, someone you can let run some actions here and there, and a 38% three-point shooter. And when you think about his skill set as a shooter, as a defender on that guard/wing spot, that's where it really does get very intriguing. And you can see it based off his shooting splits where his game really excels, and that's on the catch-and-shoot threes, where he takes 3.5 catch-and-shoot threes per game, knocking them down at a 42.5% clip. Again, not going to be somebody that you want taking pull-up threes, coming off screens and jacking up threes, and, pretty average inside of 10 feet and in the paint. But out on that wing, if he gets an open shot in the corner above the break, he's going to knock it down. The Sixers need guys that can just knock down open shots. He's also, as I mentioned, a really good defender. You think back to last year's playoffs when the Timberwolves were matched up against the Denver Nuggets, and Minnesota, those defenders were giving Jamal Murray hell, and especially Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He was hounding Jamal Murray, and a player that you can put out there in a playoff series and say, go guard the other team's best guard. And the Sixers don't really have that right now. Quentin Grimes is a good defender, but I think Alexander-Walker, an even better defender, and I love his fit on the Sixers squad at around that $14 million range, maybe a little less. That is the number of the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. So Nickeil Alexander-Walker, my number 1 free agent target. And we're not going to be talking about any super high-end guys because, again, this is guys you can target with those exceptions around the $12 to $14 million range. Number 2, a player we've talked about at length over the past year plus on the channel. That is Santi Aldama, the forward of the Memphis Grizzlies, who sounds like he's going to be moving on from Memphis this offseason as they have some big roster decisions to make with a new head coach coming in. And Santi Aldama, from the start of his career up until last season, you've seen steady production and a steady increase in production all across the board, from 4 points, barely playing his rookie year, to this past season, over 12 points, shooting 48% from the field, 37% from 3, and his shooting splits really do look tremendous on all areas of the floor. Shooting 73% inside the restricted area with pretty good volume there. Mid-range, not really his game, but he can knock him down. Where you really get excited is all along that three-point line, over 42% in the left corner, 37% in the right corner, and 36% above the break on over 233-point attempts on the year. With that kind of volume, that's pretty solid volume over an 82-game season, and he didn't play all 82 games. You'll take 37%, combined with the shooting ability and his size as well to play that 4 spot. I think would be a great replacement when you're talking about someone who fills in directly for Guerschon Yabusele. Santi Aldama stands at 7 foot, 250 pounds. So he's light. He's not going to play center by any stretch, but he'll play on that wing spot, ideally at the 4, with a 6'11" wingspan. He's tall. He's skilled. So when you're thinking about him compared to Guerschon, Guerschon more that bigger body, can kind of bully smaller guys down there, and he's in a fight. Santi Aldama, a little thinner, a little more frail, but a little more skilled as well, and a better offensive player who I think could really fill in well at that 4 spot. He could start, he'd come off the bench, whatever you need to do, but a versatile player. Coming up at number 3, one of the best shooters, not just in free agency this offseason, but in the NBA entirely, and that is Malik Beasley, who put on a show this year for Detroit from the three-point line. Going to be looking to get a bag, and wouldn't be surprised if he ends up back in Detroit, but they're going to have some decisions to make on their roster as well. Who do they keep? Who do they let go? And with Jaden Ivey going to be coming back from injury, maybe they decide not to splurge on Malik Beasley, and that allows the Sixers to go after him. You want to talk about, again, shooting the ball and knocking down shots from outside. It does not get much better than Malik Beasley, who shot just a tick shy of 42% from 3 this past season, averaging over 16 points a game. And look, in the playoffs, it was a little bit of a struggle for him against the Knicks in those 6 games where they really played the Knicks very, very hard. The shooting splits don't look great at 37 and 34%, but he hit a lot of big-time shots in that series, and he was also taking, I think, over 10 3-pointers per game. So he's a high-volume guy, and he's going to knock him down. And in the regular season, that is what he was doing from all over the floor. 50% from the left corner, over 50% from the right corner. And then take a look at this above the break 3 numbers. 38.7% on almost 600 attempts on the year. That is unbelievable volume, and that is an unbelievable ability to knock down those shots, especially given that volume. And you take a look at the three-point made leaders throughout this past NBA season. Shout out to Anthony Edwards, really expanding his range this year. Led the NBA in three-pointers made with 320 at 39.5%, but just one three-pointer behind him was Malik Beasley this year. Outshooting Steph Curry, making 8 more threes than him and shooting a better percentage than Steph. Those 3 really above the rest of the pack, Derek White and Peyton Pritchard. But again, you need guys like Malik Beasley, who's not going to do a whole lot else than knock down threes, but he's one of the best that we have in the NBA at this point. And I know another guard who won't really defend at that high of a level, but come playoff time, man, you need guys like this who can step up and knock down shots in clutch moments, which Beasley did against the Knicks despite losing that series. Moving on to number 4. Here you go. Here's a big man that you've all probably been waiting for this entire video. That's Luke Kornet of the Boston Celtics. Boston's going to have a lot of decisions to make as well this offseason, whether they lose this series to the Knicks or not. They're currently down 2-0 as I record this video. They're a very expensive team with Tatum, with Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser. They can't keep everybody on the roster, and they could end up trading a Porzingis, trading a Drew Holiday. We'll see what they do, but they're probably not going to have the money either to bring back Luke Kornet, who I think would be a perfect center to add to this rotation that you have with Embiid, assuming he's going to be back, and Adam Bona, a very young player, because I think Luke Kornet excels exactly in all the areas the Sixers really struggled this past season. He's a great rim protector, dating back to the start of 2023, a 5.1 block percentage, and a 53.2 defensive field goal percentage allowed at the rim. Those are both excellent, excellent numbers. Also averages just under 2 offensive rebounds a game with a 13.5 offensive rebound percentage since the start of 2023. He's an efficient scorer at the rim, always going to be between 65 and 70% because all he really takes is layups and dunks at the rim. And he's great at those box outs, getting in position to grab a rebound, and he's a great screen setter as well. And look at all those areas: rim protection, rebounding, efficiency at the rim, box outs, setting screens. All things the Sixers did not do well enough last year, where Kornet absolutely excels. I would love that skill set on this Sixers team. So again, at that $10 to $14 million range would be perfect. I still like Adam Bona, don't get me wrong, but I love throwing Kornet in there as well. You always need more centers when Joel Embiid is your starter, because you never know how many games he's going to play. We're going to end this free agent targets list off with another Detroit Piston, And this one is Dennis Schroder, who, look, he's had a long career, played for a ton of different teams, played for 3 teams alone this past season after getting traded from Brooklyn to Golden State and then Golden State to Detroit, and really played well the entire season. Always been a guy that's going to get his as a bucket getter. The question is, like, how much else is he going to do, and is he going to be efficient doing it? And all season long, he was fine. And in the playoffs, he was tremendous against the Knicks. A big-time reason why they were able to extend that series to 6 games. Coming off the bench for Cade Cunningham, running that second unit, he really showed an ability to put the ball in the basket at an efficient rate, over 12 points a game, shooting 49% from the field and 47% from 3. Now, you're not going to get that from Dennis Schroder. It's not going to happen all year long, but just everything he showed me this past year, look, he's getting older, no doubt about it, but he's still able to be an effective backup point guard. And I truly believe that to have a high end and high level of success in the NBA, you always need good guards on the floor who can run the offense. You can depend on them to go get a bucket if they need to. So this would allow you to have Tyrese Maxey, Quentin Grimes, Jared McCain will be back, and then Dennis Schroder. That is a great 4-guard combo right there. You can have any 2 of those 4, I would say, on the floor at all time, and then you're set. You feel good about your guards. You can address the other issues there in free agency. I know a lot of you are kind of sick of all the guards, but you do need one more, right? I don't think Jared Butler is going to be back or is really the answer there, although I do like him as a player, maybe your 5th guard. And Kyle Lowry, he's just be a coach at this point. So shore up that end of the guard rotation and always ensure you got good guard play out there on the floor. So those are 5 guys that I think the Sixers could sign. If they can't bring back Yabusele, they want to use that mid-level exception on another player. But it's your turn now. Get involved here on the show. Name a free agent you want the Sixers to sign. It can be one of the 5 guys that I mentioned here. Alexander-Walker, Santi Aldama, Luke Kornet, Malik Beasley, Dennis Schroder. I would like any of those 5. Or you can name your own. But again, not going after some of those huge names that could be available in free agency. Trying to keep it a little more in the budget of that mid-level exception. Before we hop on out of here, just another reminder that Sixers jerseys are on sale right now. I know a long ways to go until the start of the season, but it's never too early to get a jersey. And hey, right now, you can get 25 to 50% off on some of these jerseys over on Fanatics. There's rumors the Sixers are bringing back this old school Allen Iverson black jersey this upcoming season. So if you want to get a current player like Maxey, like Embiid, or whoever the Sixers end up drafting with their pick, you can get a former player, of course, like AI, like Dr. J. Go to chatsports.com/76jerseys. I'll have that link in the comments section and description of today's video. Again, 25 to 50+% off on some of these jerseys, but it won't last forever. So hurry up and go get your jerseys ASAP. All right, if you made it to the end of today's show, I encourage you to subscribe. Again, another reminder that on Monday we will be going live for the NBA Draft Lottery, myself and Chase Sr. So you do not want to miss it. It'll be the best place to get your NBA Draft Lottery coverage anywhere out there on YouTube. So be sure to hit that sub button. Lock us in, and also throw me a follow over on X/Twitter at Jake Chipper. I'm always tweeting out about the Sixers, about the NBA as a whole in general, and whenever we post a video here on the channel. So again, that's at Jake Chipper. Give me a follow, and we'll see you next time here on the show.